Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting session of NextGen 2023, the industry's largest drone autonomy summit. So, before we begin and talk more about this session, I think it would be great if you could let me know a little bit more about yourself, so that we can get to know each other better. So, feel free to share your thoughts in the chat section. For starters, please let us know where are you joining from, what do you do, and what are you the most excited about in this session. In today's session, we will delve into CityMesh's Safety Drone Shield, an innovative solution empowering drone first response teams with drone in a box systems. We will learn how CityMesh uses a combination of drones and docking stations, artificial intelligence, and a private 5G network. And we'll learn how emergency first response teams can be more efficient. To give you some background on CityMesh is a technology company based out of Belgium that provides cutting-edge connectivity and communication solutions. They specialize in building private wireless networks, such as 5G networks optimized for autonomous BVLOS drone operations. One of CityMesh's most innovative offerings is the Safety Drone Service, which is designed to help first responders gain a detailed overview of emergency situations quickly and efficiently. CityMesh offers the Safety Drone solution as a drone as a service, which means that emergency services like fire brigades, police, etc., do not have to invest in drones, drone infrastructure, or the education and training of all licensed pilots. I'm thrilled to have Hans Simelon here, the General Manager of CityMesh Safety Drone. Welcome, Hans, to NextGen 2023.
Thank you.
So I'll just quickly give a brief introduction about you to the audience, Hans, just to set some more context. So everyone, Hans believes that the lifeblood of a successful business is how internal customers and external customers view a corporation. Throughout his outstanding career, he has thrived at creating flexible and forward-thinking customer experience programs in startups and multi-billion European companies, coupled with a strong passion for strategically advancing digitization initiatives with emerging technologies. He has an entrepreneurial spirit with broad expertise in marketing, people operations, and change management. And as a senior executive, he enjoys investing in the professional development of all his employees through all levels, an emotionally intelligent leadership style that he also leverages behavioral science for this. So again, welcome to NextGen, Hans. And before I pass it on to you, I have a few housekeeping rules that I'd like to share with the audience. So the audience, please use the Q&A tab for questions. We'll be making sure that we take them at the end of the session and respond to you. The session is getting recorded and will be published soon on our online portals and on social media. And again, Hans and his team will be available after the session at the booth, at their booth in the expo sections, so that you can go and talk to them and learn more about what they do and how they do it. A couple of other, important messages that I'd like to send across to you. So if you like this session, please drop a LinkedIn post. You can tag Flightbase and use the hashtag NextGen23 and hashtag OpenDIAB movement. The top 3 posts will receive special NextGen hampers. And last but not the least, I'd like to thank our title sponsor, DJI Enterprise, and a platinum sponsor, Volatus Aerospace. With that, I hand it over to you, Hans.
Thanks, Neil, for the good introduction, and also thank from my side to the sponsors and FlightNow to set up this great event where we can all collaborate on drones and the future of drones. I'll share my presentation. I think that's handy. Does everybody see my presentation? If nobody reacts, I think that's good. So my name is Hans Simelon. I'm a general manager of CityMesh Safety Drone.
Hans, I don't think that your presentation is shared right now. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. That's why I asked. Oh, it's scary. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yes, we can see it now.
Good thing I asked. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm Hans Simelon. I work at CityMesh Safety Drone, and CityMesh, like Neil said before, is a Belgium operator integrator specialized in private networks. And to deploy these private networks, we use all sorts of technologies, going from Wi-Fi over 0G to 4G and 5G. What we actually do, we have a B2B focus, and we look at the application of our customers, and we then identify, is it a mission critical, a business critical, or non-critical application, and based on that, we will then deploy the network needed for this application. Our major shareholder is Segica, and we are already 15 years around here in telco world, and we launched our drone division 3 years ago. So I said before that we're specialized in 4G and 5G. Actually, we are the 4th operator in Belgium. We just gained our licenses to deploy a national-wide 4G, 5G network in Belgium. And this is one of the main reasons why we believe in the deployment of safety drones in a box for the first responders, is because the use of 5G. 5G enables us, thanks to the ultra reliable low latency communications, remote control, but also extreme capacity and high data rates up to 100 megabytes a second, make it easy to transfer the images to the first responders. And another great feature of 5G is the slicing mechanism. Slicing mechanism means that you can determine which application that's connected to the network will get clearance and which none. So you can prioritize your applications on the network using a slice on 5G. In this example, you see that the data services for the first responders is almost the same as every other application, but the moment there is an emergency, they get a broader pipeline for their applications, and other applications, like for instance the sensors in this case, are cut down so that the first responders have the bandwidth they need for their application. I said before that we are deploying a national-wide network, and that's important. Why? Because we're focusing on the B2B side, and we have another partner, DG, who will do the B2C part. This means that we will be the first European operator rolling out a B2B network national-wide with their own core. So meaning that the core is only used for the B2B applications, and in this case also for the first responders. So they have their core separated from the consumer core. This means that it's not possible that a lot of consumers at the scene will interface with the bandwidth available for the first responders. I think this is very crucial if you want to roll out a nationwide network of drones in a box available for the first responders. You see here a big number on the screen, and there's a reason for that. So every year in Belgium, more than 2 million urgent calls are received by the Belgium emergency services. With lives at stake, speed and visibility are crucial. The emergency services still too often do not have specific information to estimate calamities. Images that show the magnitude of the disasters and the number of people involved are therefore invaluable in saving lives. And that's actually the reason why we rolled out the drone-in-a-box solution for the first responders. Because in Belgium, and I don't know how it is in other countries, but in Belgium, the first responders are obliged to roll out specific persons and wagons the moment there is a kind of distress call coming in. In this example, you see if there is a fire at a farm, the fire department is obliged to go out with 2 wagons, because up front you cannot estimate how big the fire is. But in some cases, the fire at the farm is actually just the farmer in the middle of the farm making a little bonfire. It's not a real fire. And then the emergency services are there with 2 fire trucks just for a little bonfire in the middle of the farm. So that's why the first minutes of an emergency are crucial to have an eye in the sky. So we came up with the safety drone concept. A safety drone concept is a drone in a box, always ready, always charged, in the neighborhood of a city. You see here in the picture that the typical distance, the radius of the safety drone is within 5 to 10 kilometers. We're using a private 5G network to connect the drone and to send the images to our data center, so that the unmanned traffic management can see where the drone is, that the remote pilot can pilot and control the drone, and that the emergency services dispatch can see the images on their screen, but also the firefighters on scene or the fire trucks en route can see the images on a tablet or a cell phone if needed. This is the idea of the safety drone concept. So deep diving a little bit, this is actually our safety drone deployed in the city of Genk. It's a DJI M300 kit where we mounted on a parachute of AVSS, and we made our own CityMesh companion computer that does the flight control and the 5G modem. We also equipped it with a HD 4K zoom and terminal camera, and we modified the landing gear for charging in our Heysha box. Speaking of the Heysha box, here it is, our Heysha box. So it's an autonomous drone in a box system. We have the highly accurate landing thanks to the QR log code, and it's equipped with HVAC and charging system. There is also a weather station, what you can see here on the slide, with an anemometer, temperature and humidity sensor, as well as a LED spotlight, wind direction, launch cam, and pluviometer integrated. So this is the hardware, a part of the hardware, that it all comes together in our remote operations center. Here you see one of our pilots using FlightNow Auto Pro to control the drone. He's integrated, or the system is integrated with the first response emergency application. So meaning that the moment distress calls come in for this region, we automatically receive the coordinates and it will be uploaded into our drone, and the drone can immediately take off the moment the pilot did the first control. At the remote operations center, we've got redundant internet connectivity with high bandwidth and extra low latency. Of course, we are also foreseen from a backup power supply of 45 minutes. And these remote operations center, typically 2 desks, are manned 7-on-7 by licensed pilots who do the BVLOS flights for the emergency services. For the first responders, they have a dispatch that is in direct contact with the pilot on the mission, so the pilot that's responsible for the mission. And within a drone hub, they can see the live stream on any device anywhere. And because they are in contact with the pilot, they can also ask, for instance, to go around a bonfire or to zoom in, zoom out, use the terminal camera. They can actually give instructions so that the pilot can do what they want and give the view that they want at the moment. The missions are also stored for 30 days, so they can do a post-mission evaluation. That's also something that's really important for the first responders. Sorry, it's not only on the scene, but it's also important afterwards, after a mission, to have a quick look back and see what could have been done otherwise, or can we do in another way to improve actually the missions and save lives in the future. So being said, and showing you the hardware, I also have a little movie prepared for you. It's actually a live movie of a mission that went down this summer in the forest of Genk. So the story is there was a started forest fire, and then the coal came in, and you can see the mission here. And I need to.
Brand, stop.
So as you can see here is that I'm gonna just finish the movie just to be sure it's stopped. Yes. What you could see here is that due to the terminal view of the bonfire, the fire department could decide not to send out the second truck. And that way they did an immediately saving of means and people at that moment. And also because of the terminal view of the bonfire, they were able to make sure that the fire truck arrived at the right destination, because otherwise it's really hard to determine where actually the fire is taking place. And last but not least, they were also able, because they knew the correct location and they had an estimate of the time, they were able to link the location and the time to other cameras in the neighborhood, and by doing that they were able to catch the one who started the fire. So I think it's not only saving lives, but it's also preventing of other calamities to happen in the future. Oh. So we had a very good first one in Genk, connecting with the fire department. After 2 months, also the police department stepped up and are using now the safety drone in Genk. And we were thinking, okay, if it's that handy for the fire department and the police department, what could we do more? And so we were thinking, and we were actually deploying the next project.
Every year, thousands of people get injured or lose their lives because of fires, flooding, and other emergency situations in Belgium. Due to the sheer number of calls, commanders are forced to make quick and bold decisions every day. Unfortunately, the information given to emergency services is often incomplete, leading to valuable time being wasted, time that could have saved lives. CityMesh strives to change that with our safety drones. Fast-responding, always-ready drones that arrive on the scene just minutes after a distress call comes in. With 4K and thermal imaging, enriched with AI insights, they provide real-time situational awareness, allowing commanders to quickly identify the best plan of action. Depending on the type of distress call, the drone closest to the location will automatically be activated by the dispatching system. At the CityMesh Drone Remote Operations Center, a certified drone pilot operates and monitors every flight remotely, minimizing the operational impact on emergency services. Each safety drone is connected to 5G, allowing for 360-degree video streaming, low latency remote control, and network prioritization in case of congestion. 5G introduces real-time mixed reality scenarios and responsible AI decision support, currently unavailable for emergency services. The safety drone has successfully been deployed at the city of Genk, Port of Antwerp, Bruges, Fluvia, and Brussels Airport. CityMesh plans to scale drones as a service and build a sustainable safety drone shield all over Belgium. Together with our partners, we will safeguard and facilitate the flights in a UTM platform. We propose a high-quality end-to-end solution with a unique feature set. The long-term positive effect and sustainability impact will be monitored and reported by our research partner. Our end goal? Saving lives through innovation.
Yeah, so we're deploying the safety drone grid in Belgium with 70 drones in a box in the coming 2 years. These 70 drones in a box will be operated by 40 licensed pilots, and these 40 licensed pilots will be spread out through the country, use 5 remote operation centers everywhere in Belgium to do the monitoring and the controlling of these flights. We will also work together with our UTM partner SkyDrones, who is actually a daughter of Skies, responsible for the Belgium air space. So SkyDrones will deploy a UTM platform where we will all manage all the flights into. We will use the research of iGent to determine the long-time impact of a safety drone shield in Belgium. So focusing on the SDGs and what's the actual impact of drones in a box on human life, but also on the CO2 reduction. All those things will be monitored by the research partner. And last but not least, we will create some extra insights using AI technology with our partner Sigica, who is also our mother company, to give further insights to the first responders on this in this safety drone shield. All of this will be offered to the first response teams as a drone as a service or flight as a service. So they only have to pay a limited amount per flight, and they don't have to invest in the drones, in the box, in the technology. Everything will be managed by CityMesh. So that was actually the whole presentation of our safety drone shield and how we want to enable first responders through the safety drone shield, but also the AI insights with better views, an eye in the sky in the first 15 to 30 minutes an incident appears. We know that a lot of fire departments and police departments already have drone teams, but when we speak to them, they say this is a game changer because it actually will be there, an eye in the sky for the first 15 till 20 minutes of an incident. And that's a critical timing for them. They have their teams, but it in average takes 15 to 20 minutes before the first person arrives at the scene. And with this solution, they will have an overview of the incident before the first person arrives at the scene. Thanks for your attention, and I'm still here to go to potential questions.
So again, thanks, Hans, and on behalf of all of us here, I'd like to thank you for your time and sharing your insights on CityMesh's safety drones service. I think it's evident that CityMesh and you are true visionaries in the field of emergency response and technology, and we've all learned a great deal from your presentation today. So thank you for putting in that effort. And as always, I think that video gives me goosebumps. So it's good to see how CityMesh is saving lives through innovation. And from what I could gather from your presentation, not just saving lives, but considering the safety of drones and safety of flight operations, and also including a couple of other things like making sure that nature is not affected. So CO2 emissions are, well within their limits. So I think it's a great initiative, and we need more people and leaders like you and CityMesh to take that lead forward and uh, get more traction for drone autonomy. So thanks, Hans, and the audience. We can now open the session for some questions and answers. I think we already have a few, Hans, so I'll just start taking them one by one.
Okay.
So I think one question that we have is, so you mentioned that you are working at airports as well, right? So how do you work with them for getting like approvals for flight operations? Is this something that you are, doing in close coordination with the respective authorities? Can you shed some more light on that?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said before, deploying this will be done in partnership with Sky Drones, and Sky Drones is a daughter company of Skies. Skies is the company guarding the air space in Belgium, so it helps. They are also situated at the airport, and actually the reason why we did it in the airport is because we deployed a private 5G network at Brussels Airport. It's one of the first airports in the world deploying a 5G network, and by doing that we were also allowed to showcase our drone solution. But that was indeed in collaboration with the authorities and with good understandings, of course. We were able to fly a drone at Brussels Airport, and we will be deploying a safety drone solution at Brussels Airport in the near future as well.
All right. So I think we are getting a lot of questions with respect to certifications. So there's one more thing. So since you're operating remotely over long distances, are you working with some appropriate CE confirmations? CityMesh's service is probably C6, and in the view of the changing regulations that will apply from January 2024. So can you shed some more light on that?
Yes, so also on that, that's one of the reasons why at the moment, so we're working closely with AVSS to have the parachute in place to do the mediation there. But also that's one of the reasons why we at the moment only limit to first responders, because then we are flying on the state flights. So we're actually flying in name of them. And they're still authorized to do that BVLOS. At the moment, indeed, that's the only BVLOS operation that is granted, and that's easy to do. But we're also hoping by doing this at a large scale that we can prove to the authorities that it can be safe and actually open up the legislation after 2024.
All right. And since, Hans, you mentioned that you're closely working with first responders, so can you help us understand, like, how does the safety drone service integrate with other emergency response technologies, so such as like a dispatch software or some GPS tracking systems that give you some geolocation where you need of the incident, and how do you plan your flight operations around that?
Yeah, so at the moment we're connected to the first responders emergency system. So the moment the distress call comes in, we receive the coordinates of the incident, and then we fly to there. The moment that we take off, we have communication line open with the first responders, so they can see what's happening, and they can also see the path through the incident. That can be helpful because sometimes you see something on the way to there. But by doing that, for them it's more like, okay, we now have clear understanding of the situation, because we see actually what's happening, and it's not just somebody calling in, yeah, there is a fire or there was a collision of two trucks. They can actually see, okay, what's inside the trucks, how many people are involved, what's the magnitude. All these things can be seen by the dispatch, and based on that they can decide to do upscaling or downscaling of the people they're sending, but also maybe do other things necessary to control this incident. So in the first place, what we have is a direct communication line between dispatch and the pilot. And dispatch and the fire truck can see the drone images live on their tablet and on their screen. And based on that, they can ask our pilot to do another round around the incident, or for instance, zoom in, zoom out, use another type of camera to have a better view or better view of the situation.
All right. Thanks, Hans, for sharing that information. We have one more question, and this is mostly to do with the challenges that you have been facing. So what kind of challenges did Citymesh face when developing the safety drone service, and how did you overcome them? So like you told in your presentation that you have been closely working with first responders, and then you have, you've responded to real life situations. So can you just shed some more light on your learnings, and what are some best practices that you would recommend?
Of course, I think like everybody in these sessions, you will hear that legislation is, of course, and regulatory is one of the biggest issues or biggest concerns for everybody. But also, I think the answer is in what we're doing here. We're sitting here together with different players in the field and looking together for a solution. That's actually what we did. I mentioned before, we're using the FlightNow software, we're using the AVSS parachute, we're using the Haisha docking station, we're using the DJI skeleton of the drone, and we're on our own 5G companion computer. Of course, it's very complicated to make sure that all these components work together perfectly. But I think in the end, because of the effort done by everybody on every team, we were able to do that. And this is typically an example of 1 + 1 = 3 and not 2. And I think if we do that in the industry more often, work together and combine our resources, we can come up with innovation that can actually save lives.
Thanks, Hans, for those wise words. And I'm sure, working with partners like you, we can overcome these challenges and make sure that, we're able to deploy this service at scale. One more question. So this is kind of a little futuristic. So what plans does Citymesh have for the future of the safety drone service? And how do you see it evolving over time to meet the changing needs and technologies? So, let's say artificial intelligence or machine learning. Can you shed some more light on that?
Yes, of course. I think our future plans are the deployment of 70 DApps in the coming 2 years. That's already planned, so that we're going to do that. We will learn a lot about doing that, because also Belgium is not a big country, but there are differences in the north and in the south. So it's also important to incorporate that. And I think by doing that, and that's one of the main things of AI, I really love AI, but one of the things that's really needed is you need a lot of input for it. And it's a typical question: if you put shit in, you get shit out. So you need quality, you need a lot of images, you need a lot of exemptions for that AI. And I think by deploying 70 of these boxes and flying on a constant base for the fire department and the police department, we will gather these images and these videos. And based on that, we will be able to train the best AI possible. And by training the AI, we will get new insights and discover together with the first responders what could be the next step for innovation in this field.
All right. And continuing to that, I have a few questions on what kind of AI decisions need to be made for your specific use case. So let's say you're using it with the fire brigade, or let's say with the police department. So do you have any specific AI decisions that you would like to work on or are working on currently?
Well, first of all, we want to train the algorithm to see things that we don't see immediately and we're not paying attention. A typical example is we have a call for the police department that an accident happened. We fly to the accident, and by flying to the accident, we overfly, for instance, a starting fire. That's something typically what a normal person wouldn't see automatically, because they're focused on the mission. We're focusing on going to the incident and seeing these two trucks or cars that collapsed. But an AI can see the smoke, what wouldn't be visible with the bare eye for us, or at least not at that moment, and that could trigger an incident for the fire department, getting the fire department there before the first call is in for the fire.
All right, got it. Thanks, Hans, for sharing some more light on that. So I think we are done with most of the questions. I've saved one last question for myself, so if you don't mind. So again, like you highlighted that you're working with multiple partners. So let's say Flightbase, and you're working with some docking station partners, with DJI for the drone, AVSS to complement the safety part of it. So this is what we are calling, the open drone in a box movement. So can you please share your thoughts on the open DIB approach, where each company contributes to a different layer of drone autonomy stack, and what are the benefits and how it will help all of us grow together and also grow the industry?
I think that's the only way forward, to be honest. I mean, like I mentioned before, 1 + 1 = 3 here. If you take your expertise from FlightNow and the expertise of AVSS, for instance, and you combine those, and you can connect the right people at the two firms with each other, you get new insights, you get new technologies, innovation, and we're a step closer to saving lives through innovation. If you have to do it all by yourself, you're not going to succeed. That's for one thing. It's that complicated. That's why we also said within CityMesh, okay, we're going to focus on the things that we can do. We have the pilots, we have the software to operate the drone, we have the 5G network. Okay, that's what we're going to cover. Now let's look at the right partners to cover the rest and sit them also together. I think that's indeed something like you said, Neil, and I don't know if the audience is aware of that, but actually in the process, we have a lot of meetings with FlightNow and HeySha, for instance, but also FlightNow and DJI, or FlightNow and AVSS, because these components need to work together. They need to communicate to each other. And that's, if you work in an open model like this, you're able to set your partners together in a meeting room and say, okay, guys, this is the problem we're facing at the moment. How are we going to come with a solution together? And that's really working. And I think that's, like I said before, it's the only way forward for me.
Yes, that totally makes sense, Hans. Having an open ecosystem, an open DIB model where we can all use our energies, kind of use that synergy and solve real world life problems. So yes, I think that's the way to go forward. On that note, do you have any closing thoughts that you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, it's kicking in open doors, but I really love working together and getting 1 + 1 = 3, and by this saving lives through innovation. Let's continue to do that together.
Yes, definitely, Hans. I think 1 + 1 = 3 is going to stay with me for a really long time. Thanks for sharing that. Yes, and again, thanks, Hans, for joining the session today. And the audience, hope you're having a great time at NestGen. Do let us know how you found the session in the comments. And again, we have a couple of other exciting speaker sessions, followed by some networking sessions along with booth visits. So Hans and his team are going to be at their booth from 5:30 to 6 and 7:30 to 8 CEST. And they'll be waiting for you there if you want some more information on what CityMesh is doing and if you want to get in touch with them. So you can please go to the booths tab and pay them a visit. They'll be looking forward to see you. Thanks, everyone. See you in the next session. And thank you, Hans.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure working with you, and it's been a pleasure having you at NestGen.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thanks, man.